Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are going on a seriously fast-paced, highly entertaining journey through some of the most unbelievable truths our world has to offer. We're talking 21 facts that sound totally fake, but I promise you they are 100% true. Prepare for your brain to melt just a little bit because we're going to dive into everything from warped history to bizarre nature and mind-bending math. Let's get right into it. So what do ancient samurai, cubic wombat poop, and the movie Star Wars have in common? I mean, on the surface, absolutely nothing, right? But that cognitive dissonance, putting these wildly unrelated things side by side, is exactly what we're exploring today. They are all part of a fascinating reality that proves, time and time again, truth is way weirder than fiction. All right, let's kick things off with theme one. Time is an illusion. Okay, so if you think you've got a pretty good grip on your historical timelines, you might want to think again. The age of the samurai in Japan lasted all the way from 1185 to 1868. Meanwhile, the era of the early cowboys, the vaqueros, stretched from the 1500s to 1895. And the golden age of piracy? Well, that was happening right smack in the middle of all that, from 1650 to the 1730s. So what does this actually mean? It means there was theoretically a window in time where a samurai, a pirate, and a cowboy could have literally met up at a bar. It sounds like a ridiculous movie pitch, but historically, the math actually checks out. And speaking of entirely warped timelines, most of us naturally assume Vincent van Gogh's work is ancient history compared to, say, video games. But here's the reality. The legendary gaming giant Nintendo was actually founded in 1889. Vincent van Gogh's masterpiece Starry Night, he painted that after Nintendo already existed. Crazy, right? Let's keep this fast pace going with another absolutely bizarre cultural overlap. The guillotine is this brutal execution device we instantly associate with the French Revolution back in the 1700s. And then you have Star Wars: A New Hope, the defining modern sci-fi blockbuster. Well, the last time the guillotine was used for an execution in France was 1977, which is the exact same year Star Wars hit theaters. History just loves to mess with your perception. Get this. The beloved actress Betty White was quite literally older than sliced bread. She was actually born before the machine that automatically sliced and wrapped bread was even a thing. And how about this one? The first 5 U.S. presidents, we're talking George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, the Founding Fathers, they all lived and died without ever knowing that dinosaurs existed. Megalosaurus, the first officially recognized dinosaur, wasn't even discovered until 1824. Let's look at ancient Egypt for a second. Egypt as a unified kingdom was already 500 years old before the Great Pyramids at Giza were even built. Then, a massive 1,000 years passed before King Tut rules. And King Tut? He had been dead for over 1,000 years by the time Cleopatra was born. The Great Pyramids were literally ancient history to Cleopatra. To put that into perspective, Cleopatra lived closer in time to the release of the first iPhone than she did to the building of the pyramids. No way, right? Moving right along to theme 2, the wild, weird animal kingdom. If you were to take every single known animal species on planet Earth, lions, tigers, bears, fish, birds, literally the whole shebang, 25% of that entire pie is just beetles. Yep, a full quarter of the entire animal kingdom is carved out exclusively for them. Talk about taking over the world. Now here's a quick correction to a super common misconception. We all know those large, gorgeous birds with the giant, extravagant tail feathers, right? We call them peacocks. But actually, peacock isn't the name of the bird species. That's just what the males are called. The species itself is actually known as peafowl. So a fun little fact for your next trivia night. Okay, I know this one sounds completely made up, but I swear it's not. Wombat poop is literally cube-shaped. It's a genuine 100% biological fact. These adorable little Australian marsupials produce square-shaped droppings, and scientists actually think it has to do with the specific way their intestines stretch. Nature is just completely absurd sometimes. Let's rapid-fire some unbelievable animal superpowers. First up, moose. They are incredibly strong swimmers, to the point where they will literally dive deep underwater just to snack on seaweed. Second, a barn owl's hearing is so wildly sensitive that on a quiet night, it can sit on the top of a roof and hear a rat's heartbeat down below. And third, if you're wondering what the most successful predator on Earth is, it's not a lion, and it's not a great white shark, it's the dragonfly. It catches its prey mid-air with an absolutely astonishing success rate. All right, let's pivot to theme 3, strange human behavior and inventions. 33,333 feet. Take a second to really picture that. That is over 10 kilometers up in the sky. It's also the world record height from which Vesna Vulovic, a 22-year-old Serbian flight attendant, fell without a parachute and survived. It is just an astounding, almost incomprehensible feat of human survival. Okay, so millions of people visit chiropractors every single year to get their backs adjusted, right? It's a super common modern medical practice. But the origins of it? Totally bizarre. The guy who founded the practice of chiropractics famously claimed that he learned the core principles of it during a seance. Yes, from the ghost of a deceased doctor. You literally can't make this stuff up. Speaking of things that sound totally fake but absolutely aren't, there is literally a bank in Italy that accepts massive, wildly expensive wheels of Parmesan cheese as collateral for financial loans. The bank actually holds the cheese in these highly secured, climate-controlled vaults. They take care of it as it ages and gains value, all while the cheesemakers pay off their debt. It's the most wonderfully Italian thing I've ever heard. Think about this for a second. We invented the tin can to preserve food. That makes perfect sense. But there was an almost 50-year gap between the invention of the can and the invention of the actual dedicated can opener. For half a century, humans had perfectly preserved canned food, but completely lacked a simple tool to open it. People were relying on chisels, knives, or literally just smashing them open with rocks. Here are two wildly odd human facts for you. First, if your name is Jessica, you literally have William Shakespeare to thank. He completely invented the name for his play, The Merchant of Venice. On a much, much darker note, though, if you ever find yourself in a tightly enclosed room with a massive iron anchor chain, get out immediately. The rusting process of the iron chain will actually pull the oxygen right out of the air, and you can literally die from asphyxiation. Scary, but absolutely crucial to know. And finally, brace yourselves for Theme 4, mind-boggling math and scale. Let's try a little thought experiment. Imagine you traveled back in time to the year 1 AD. From the exact moment you arrived, you start earning $10,000 an hour, every single hour, nonstop. If you lived all the way until today, you would have spent over 2,000 years collecting 10 grand an hour. But here's the crazy part. Despite all that time and all that money, you would still be significantly poorer than modern tech billionaires like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg. That is just how unfathomably huge $1 billion actually is. And speaking of unfathomably huge, let's compare the number of trees on planet Earth to the number of stars in our entire Milky Way galaxy. When we look up at the night sky, space feels completely infinite, right? But the staggering reality is that there are an estimated 3 trillion trees on Earth. That vastly outnumbers the estimated 100 to 400 billion stars in our galaxy. Our home planet is just incredibly, wonderfully abundant. So, has a shuffled deck of cards ever been in that exact order in history? The answer is practically no. The math here is genuinely staggering. There are 52 factorial ways to arrange a standard deck of cards. That number is so massively, incomprehensibly huge that the odds dictate whenever you properly shuffle a deck, those cards are in a completely unique sequence that has never existed before in the entire history of the universe. You are literally holding a unique piece of mathematical history in your hands every single time you shuffle. So here is my final question for all of you. Which of these facts completely shattered your perception of reality today? And honestly, what are you going to go research next? Whether it's cubic wombat poop, samurai sharing a timeline with cowboys, or the sheer mind-blowing scale of the trees on our planet, I really hope you're leaving this explainer endlessly curious and highly entertained. You are definitely armed with some amazing conversation starters for your next party. Keep questioning the world around you because, as we've seen today, it's a wonderfully weird place.